Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Bhagavate Shri Swaminarayanaya Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaya Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Aim Bhrim Klim Chamundaye Viche Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Shri Guru Stotram Akhanda Mangalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangavam Vyaptam Yat Kinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapi Yat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarvashruti Shiro Ratne Virajita Padambujaha Vedantambuja Suryo Yaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chaitanya Shashvatam Shantaha Vyomatito Niranjanaha Bindunad Kalatitaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gnana Shakti Samarudaha Tatvamala Vibhushitaha Bhukti Mukti Pradatacha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidayine Atma Gnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shoshanam Bhavasindoscha Gnapanam Sarasapadaha Guru Padotakam Samyak Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapaha Tattva Gnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Guru Stotram. Okay, let me see here. There were. Alright. Welcome to Daily Satsang. This is Sachin here, and it is good to see all of you again. We are continuing our exploration of the Guru Tattva as per the teachings within the Guru Stotram. So what we just heard are the first 11 verses of the Guru Stotram, and we have been contemplating on verse number 3, the part that says Guru Reva Param Brahma or Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Parabrahma, like this. Sometimes it's written in different ways, but it is Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, what is this Brahma Tattva? This is what we are looking at. Now, in our lives, we are always pursuing vastness. So today I want to approach this subject of the Brahman. The Brahman means the infinite, the vast. That's its basic meaning. That there is a reality that is non-limited, endless, eternal, never created, never destroyed, and is existing without limit. So this is what this Brahma Tattva actually is all about. Now, in our lives, where we are from our point of view, we see names and forms everywhere we look. These are the two things we see. Is it not so? Look where you are right now. Anywhere you look in your room, where you are, first of all, you will see the form of your body. It has a certain form that is called Akar. Naam, Roop, Akar. Right? So, Naam means the name. Everything has a particular name. Everything that has a form, we as human beings have given a name to that for identification. So the name and the form, we have given names to the forms that are within our perception. So when we perceive this outside world, there are all of these forms with different colors, different shapes, sizes, and they are perceived through the Panch Gnan Indriya, the 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, touch, and tongue. So we have to follow this systematically to understand Vedanta, because Vedanta is a total study It is a sadhana, and it is an intense study of the Brahma Tattva, or how to approach the Brahma Tattva. It is actually a methodology of approaching the Brahma Tattva and realizing who one is. Who am I? That is its realization. So we have to go slowly and systematically. There are, just for your information, there are hundreds of extraordinary Vedanta teachers that are actually available on YouTube for free. There's no charge even. There are so many teachings and ideas. But my suggestion would be, whatever is being heard, even from Sachin's Satsang here, this what I'm presenting, or other people, how much is heard is not that significant. What quantity is digested and realized is the only significant thing. Then that's okay. Then we can enjoy the quantity, but the how much we are putting in our mouth and digesting, that is the actual benefit. The best analogy that I can think of is like a 1,000-item buffet. If you go to a buffet and you have 1,000 items, so many ice creams and salads and different kinds of foods, my God, some things you may not have even seen before. We can go there and enjoy. Wow, this is beautiful, amazing, amazing. But we cannot eat 1,000 items. If you're hungry, you're going to pick some things from some places. But visually, yes, you can bask in the glory of the 1,000-item buffet. Similarly, the scriptures of India, particularly what we're concentrating on, and world scriptures in general, they are like that 1,000-item buffet, much beyond that, infinite. There's no end to that. So we can bask in its glory. Oh, Veda Sutra, or this Brahma Sutra, 555 Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, 700 shlokas, the Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. It's incredible. The Durga Saptashati, 700 verses. Each and every idea has been developed, has been realized over thousands of years. 10,000-year tradition, we're saying it might even be much more than that. We don't know exactly how old the tradition is, because it is a tradition about the reality that is within our perception and the reality of the perceiver. So along those lines, how much we are able to touch upon is the key. So on that has been my focus in these presentations and this approach. Otherwise, we can get caught up into deep philosophical analysis and be totally lost, which we don't want that to happen. So to begin with, let's begin this inquiry carefully, because we have to inquire as per the approach shown by the great Vedanta teachers. To begin with, point number one, through our five senses, we detect the external world. This is the first point. Is that true or not? Yes, it is true, obviously. It is true, because what we see through our eyes is called a form. We see forms through our eyes, and there's quite a bit of physiology, neurology associated with that. We taste through our tongue. That gives us a particular perception of the object. So for example, if I have this protein shake with me right now, I can see the bottle. But by seeing the bottle or even seeing the shake inside, that doesn't give me the experience of taste. I can only get one experience, a particular type of experience, from each indriya. Indriya meaning sense organ. I cannot get the sense of taste by seeing as such. Right? So that's true with all five senses. So the five senses are called Jnana Indriya. Now this word Jnana is used differently than that spiritual Jnana. The same word is used in two different ways here. The word Jnana, as far as the sense objects, means the knowledge of the external world. It is information that comes from the external world. But remember, it is not only information, it is the experience of that stimuli that comes. That is called Vishaya. It is called Vishaya Bhog, like enjoyment. The word Bhog means enjoyment, but the perception of it, the contact of it, doesn't necessarily have to be Bhoga. It's just it's in your perception. You're seeing it. Like if you're seeing a tree, you're seeing a tree, but we call it a tree. So this was my point. The first point is, everything that is outside of us, that is in our perception, that is the external world. And that has Nam, Roop. Nam means name and form. Everything has a name and form. Now, now go to step 2. Go further. When we try to ask the question, who am I and what is the cause of the world? The 2 questions. We can try to dive into the names and forms to answer this question, to gain more understanding and purview and experience of the names and forms. It's possible. So you keep revolving in different experiences, keep getting new experiences. And that kind of a life, that type of an exploration is also possible. But once you do that, the experience, as I have stated many times before, is of saturation. That yes, for example, I can try this particular protein shake that I have in my hand. Okay, very good. But I may drink 1 bottle, maybe 2. But then what? I said that's enough. So every experience in the material world has a saturation point. And if you take an experience too far, it will bring dukkha, D-U-K-H-A. Dukh means unhappiness, imbalance, uneasiness. So sukh and dukh are mixed inside the experience of the five sense objects. That is the nature. If we investigate carefully, we find that that is the case. So the ability to investigate, the ability to probe into these questions, where is happiness, what is my experience, that ability we have because of our bigger brain. In the human body, there is a bigger brain compared to other animals. That is why human beings are able to probe into questions like, what is my experience? Where did I come from? Who am I? What is the cause of the universe? Those are the big questions. But to answer those big questions, or to unfold the truth of those big questions, we start with immediate experiences. And the first thing that we find is that every experience in the material world is limited. It is like a wave on the ocean. It is coming and going. It cannot be sustained indefinitely. Now, if you take this next step further, what do we find? We find that we ourselves are going through the waking state. We are awake. Right now, Sachin is awake. At some point, around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or whenever tonight, there will be a certain tiredness, and then the body will need to regain much of its energy. The body needs to relax. And then there's a nighttime experience, dream state, swapna avastha. We are going through this every day. This is not something that you need so many scriptures and other things for. This is our direct experience. Now, we also realize that there are deep sleep states. There's no experience. There's just peaceful, deep sleep. No experience, not dreams, not awake, something different. No experience. Just silence. Deep sleep. That is called Shushupti Avastha. These 3 words, Jagrat, Avastha. Avastha means state. Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. These 3 words are used in Vedanta. The word Vedanta means the conclusion of the Vedas, or the end portion of the Veda, which is the Upanishad, and that is explaining through the dialogues in the Upanishad what is the Brahma Tattva. That is all. That's what that means. So it is our direct experience. We are moving through these states. Now take one step further. We're going look sequentially, step by step, right? Go one step further, and we can ask the question, who is going through those stages? Who is going through the 3 states? I'm awake right now. Who is awake? I'm not sure. Wait a minute. I am awake, but who am I that is awake? Who am I that is experiencing? Who am I that is talking, that is thinking, that is seeing, that is feeling, that is believing, that is whatever? Who am I? Now, I can ask this question, but if I ask this question, I am going to invariably come across the flux, the internal flow of my own internal world. So now there is this outside world and there is this inside world. So when I come across the internal world, that is where I have another opportunity to further probe into the inner world, and we find that just as there are names and forms outside, there are names and forms inside. Now that's very interesting. So for example, if I think about my father or my mother or my brother or my dog or my sister or somebody in my relation, for example, I think about them, I have an image of them, a form of them in my mind, the form of them, and many times we can think and imagine that they're there, but they're existing in a subtle way within our mind. And at night time, most of what shows up is this mixture of what has been inputted inside the brain, inside the mind at night time. That is called Swapna Avastha. Swapna, not everything in Swapna Avastha is like that, but quite a bit. So we have to really go carefully, patiently to unravel these ideas. Now, if we go one step further, what do we find? That there is a world, this internal world within which I live. But again, who is the I that is experiencing this inner world? So the inner world is also an external world in relation to the I. That I am living in the inner world, and that world keeps changing. That world has information, content, people, places, it has so much material within that inside of me, and I am living in that world. So that world and me must be different. This is Vedanta. This is the exploration of who am I. Now, there's a realization here, as Sachin is speaking this. The realization means Jnana. Jnana is realization. So realization is that I am the being that is living in this inner world and experiencing this outer world, but I am not the inner world and I am not the outside world in that sense. I am the watcher, witness of all of this phenomena that is coming and going. And to even put it further, if I don't exist, even this outside world, whether it exists or not, or the inner world, whether it exists or not, can become irrelevant. What difference does it make? Because if I'm not there, who knows if the world is there or not? How would you even know if you're not there? So this is the whole inquiry of Vedanta into discovery of the I. Now let's go further. We find that I that is experiencing is very much entangled and wrapped up in the experience. That is called the Jivatma. The Jiva is that which is identified and completely immersed in the waking, dream, deep sleep state, and is just living in that, and does not know what it is. That is called Jiva. That's the Jivatma. And so in Vachanamrut, this is called Anvay Swarup. Anvay means that it's a total identification and forgetting of who you are for the jiva. You don't know who you are, so that is called Anvay Swarup. But if you realize who you are, know thyself, then there is a de-identification with the waking and dream states. And so they are there, but that's not who I am. And I, the mind, is stuck inside this. I want to be free of that. So there's another desire to be free of that, to discover the self. This is where the Guru Tattva actually comes into play. If you look at the whole Guru Stotram, what do we find? We find the glorification of the Guru, the salutation and prostrations to all the Gurus who are living in the state of realization that they are the Brahman, the Atman and the Brahman are one. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam Vibhavyatena Kartavya Bhakti Krishnasya Sarvada. This is Shikshapatri. Shikshapatri is another scripture of 212 verses in Sanskrit language, translated into other languages like Gujarati, etc. And what is it saying? That the Guru Tattva, when we connect that verse with Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, that the Guru is that being, that realization of the Atma and the Brahman are one. What do we feel in our Jiva state? We feel we're one with our limited families, with our limited experiences, with our bank accounts, with our desires, with our friend circles. Yes, those things are there at the relative level. They're not to be rejected. But they are not the actual reality. This is a relative reality. The limitations we experience, I have like a resume. We create a resume. I myself have a resume of like 10, 15 pages long. Well, so what? Okay, there's a resume. That's of this body, of this jiva, education, this and that in this material world. Do we need that? Yes. But that is relatively true at the absolute level, much beyond all of that. Who am I? I am the Brahman. I am not these small things. Yes, I may be an engineer, I may be a doctor, I may be a student, I may be a teacher, I might be a child, I might be a woman, I might be a man, I might be old, I might be young. These are all the experiences within Prakriti, the limited experiences within Prakriti, the Jiva state, the Anvay state. But when we say, wait a minute, that's there, but that's not really that, I'm much beyond that. So the expansion of the mind occurs to such an extent that it resonates with the Atma. It actually merges into the Atma. The resonance and then eventual merging into the Atma of the entire mental structure is called Atma Sakshatkar. Sakshatkar means the full as it is realization of the Atma Tattva. Who am I? That realization, it is full. It is called Samyak Atma Darshan in the scriptures. Samyak means as it is, in its fullness, in its totality, in its glory, in its infinity, in its splendor. For example, if we are holding a $100 billion diamond in our right hand, or in our hands we hold a massive diamond, $1 billion diamond. We can see it from all sides, its sparkle, its glory. Let's say it's been polished and all. It's like, wow, how beautiful, beauty. We experience the beauty, the sparkle, etc. And there are such diamonds. We have the continuous, at least for some time, we feel like, wow, this is so beautiful, so amazing. The sparkle, the glory, the splendor. The anubhav of the Atma, meaning the Atma experiencing itself, not the word experience is not right, the Atma realizing itself is infinitely greater than billions of diamonds. that is its glory. That is its divinity. Yasya Atma Shariram. That it is its divinity because the Paramatma resides in the Atma. The Atma is the body of the Paramatma. Yasya Atma Shariram. Yasya Aksharam Shariram. How amazing. Just so the realization that I am the Atma, it begins to occur when the mind and the body are in balance, and then from that balance there is sadhana performed by worshipping of God in different ways, upasana, and in doing so there is resonance with the Atma Tattva, and the doorway is built into the Atma, the Vyatirek Swarup, that I am Satchidananda, I am divine. I am not this small being stuck inside the limitations, even though activity is performed. All 5 sense organs, the 5 action organs that are called, the hands, ears, legs, etc. Hands, legs, genital organ, etc. These things are functioning in their own way. And then we are eating food, we are doing all the physical body is going through its process. But that activity of the physical body is not considered as me by the enlightened sage, by the Guru Tattva. It is an activity that is going on, a physical activity that is going on, but I am always different from that. In Gujarati language, in the Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami, he explained this, ke chaud indriya ni kriya potane vishay nathi manta, in this Gujarati language. What it means is that the 5 sense organs, the 5 action organs, and the antakarana, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, the internal mind, what we call mind, that all of that activity, the enlightened Guru, the Guru Tattva, the enlightened sage, even though these activities are going on of all 14, sometimes it's called Chaud Indriya. There's another simple way of putting it. That the 4 antakaran and the 5 senses, 5 sense organs, 5 action organs, they are functioning, but the enlightened sage, even though they're functioning, never loses sight, never comes out of the realization that Soham, I am Atma Brahma, I am the Brahman. That is never lost amidst all of the activity that is performed in the world. This is called Brahmi Sthiti. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuyati Sthitva Syam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvanam Ruchyati. That is the last verse in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. See this point. It's a very practical, relevant point to understand that the 14 indriyas, they're not really 14 indriyas, but sometimes you can put it that way. 5 Gnan Indriya, Panch Karma Indriya. Karma Indriya, Gnan Indriya is 10, and the 4 Antakaran, you put them together, that is 14. That activity of the Man, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankar is continuing. It is continuing, but I am not that activity, and I am totally separate from that activity. I am not lost in that activity. I am not stuck in that activity. I am experiencing the activity, but that activity doesn't touch me. Even though I am performing the activity, it doesn't touch me. Chaud indriyani kriya potane vishay nathi manta, meaning what that individual, that sage, does not believe, does not accept the activity as mine. It is going on, but I am always different. The activity of the body goes on until the body disappears, until the body goes away. But the purpose of the body, through the Guru, by the Gurus that have manifested, they have taught and have shown us that the body can be tuned, body and the mind can be fine-tuned to resonate with the Atma. That is why they are there. But the body and the mind are also there to experience the worlds of names and forms. Yes, that experience is also a doorway and a bridge to realize the Atma. Why is the body given to us? Who gave us the body? Where did it come from? Many theories are there. But the fact of the matter is that there is a body, wherever, however it may have come genetically and all that. We won't go into that here. But it is here. So now what? What do we do next? We have a body, we have a mind, we're alive, we have a life force. Now what? So the body and the mind are to be utilized as a sadhan, as a instrument to fine-tune our psychological consciousness so that it resonates with the Atma. It resonates with whatever the Atma may be. We don't know what that is. That is not in our perception. It is the perceiver, actually. We don't know what that is. And when we realize that, oh, I am this, but I am not this. It's like this, if you have in your house, if you have $1 billion cash somewhere in the basement in some big locker, it's all sealed off and you don't know it's there. You have $1 billion and the person is working at Wendy's and McDonald's and fast food restaurants for the last 25 years, hoping to become a manager, hoping to become a regional manager, making $30,000 a year, $20,000 a year, making $40,000. If they say, if I make $50,000 in a managerial position, wow, that's something amazing. But the person doesn't know there's $1 billion sitting in their basement. That is the poverty of the Jiva. The Jivatma doesn't know what it is. In Vachanamrut Garada number 20, Pratham number 20, Sajanand Swami, Shriji Maharaj, he said that the most agnani of the individuals in this world are those who do not know who they are. They cannot experience their own happiness, their own joy. That is the internal poverty of mostly all human beings. Because there is no realization that the fountain of joy that I am seeking from the outside is actually coming from me within, or the Paramatma within me as Sakshi. This is the realization. So, when we look at this verse that Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, it means that the Guru Tattva is embodying that limitless Brahman and is a manifestation of that Brahman and is also holding Parabrahma. So that is the realization. That is an internal realization that comes about, that I am holding this Brahma Tattva. But remember, complete balance of mind and body. No destruction of energy, internal or external. With that realization, complete purview of the realm of the mind and experience, with all of that, the doorway is built by the grace of God and by the touch of the enlightened sages, the drishti of the enlightened sages, the sparsha of the enlightened sages, where that doorway opens into the Atma. In Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, he said, Sat Purushne Vishay Drad Priti Ej Atma Darshandu Sadhan. It means that the love, intense love for the great sages, for Satpurusha, for those who are living in that Atmic Brahmic consciousness, love for them opens the door. And in fact, it is the only way, as far as his opinion is concerned. Age the Atma Darshan. I mean, that is the approach, that is the sadhana. Because you need someone who is awakened, something that is awakened, someone, maybe it is in the past or right now, that's a different story, how to detect the gurus and all. We've talked about some of it, but that is the point, that to detect them, who they are, what is their state, and to live in that state. That because whatever you love, you become. It's as simple as that. Whatever we love, we become. If we love this, then the world of names and forms, we will remain as a jiva in the cycle of birth and death, because we love that. Whatever we love become. Ante yamati sagati. Garada Pratham number 14 Vachanamrut. So if we are in love with God, we will become like God. We'll move into that state of God. And if we are in love with this the play of this material world, then we will stay here. It's as simple as that. All right, so we will continue this tomorrow.